Welcome to MRN Out Loud, presented by Lyon, and also brought to you by Hercules Tires. I'm Woody Kane as we get set for the racing at Atlanta Motor Speedway this weekend. Triple header action in terms of all three National Touring Series in action this weekend, starting with a doubleheader on Saturday afternoon. The Gander RV and Outdoors Truck Series. Austin Hill will be along a little bit later to tell us some about that. Todd Gordon, the crew chief for Team Penske, will be here as well. But first, let's start with some Xfinity racing. Daniel Hemric is along. He drives the number 8 Chevrolet Camaros. On Deck Capital, the sponsor this weekend as they head to Atlanta. Daniel, welcome to the program.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me on. Good to talk to you.
Tell me about this season, because this has been a whirlwind 6 months or so for you, and you've had a good finish, a good solid top 10 run at Fontana in California, but the others have been a little bit disappointing so far this season. And, boy, you've taken it a little bit hard, which is understandable, but you've been through things like this before. All drivers have.
Yeah, you're right. Definitely not by any means the way I saw the beginning of the season going, especially going to my first couple of my favorite racetracks there to start the season out there on the West Coast. And, like I said, we had some glimpse of hope there at Fontana, but Vegas and Phoenix definitely did not go as planned. So it's just been last couple of days of trying to, figure out, what my decision process has been. What are the little things that I'm not doing to put myself in position. I was pretty vocal about going back to Xfinity Series to run with JR Motorsports. That my only goal was to win races, and the only trouble is you got to make it to the end of these things to give yourself that shot. So got to get back to the basics, right? Got to get back to doing the little things that that do add up. Blocking and tackling and doing those little things to get me to these races so I can contend for wins. And I think all of us at JR Motorsports are trying to figure out the balance of these cars. We got a lot of new parts and pieces over there this year for them. Obviously, it's all new for me, but not at all the beginning of the start of the year like we want. But the good thing is, no different than any other time, right? There's some dark times, but you always bounce back from it. So look forward to that challenge this weekend at Atlanta.
Well, the good news is you've had some solid qualifying efforts, a 4th at Fontana, a top 10 at Vegas, 12th at Phoenix, so you've had some good speed in the car, but as you say, paying it off and being there at the end is the key. Is there a danger in situations like this, and as we said, you've been through them, of trying too hard, pushing too hard, and making things worse rather than just letting things come to you?
Yeah, a little bit. Kind of going back to what I said a minute ago, I mean, it does me no good being back here without winning races, but I've got to be able to get myself in contention to win races. And, if you let yourself be so tunnel vision, and like I had the first couple of weeks here, it's easy to get lost and not do those little things that do get yourself in trouble, and that's what I've done. So, just like I said, just trying to get back to doing what got me here, and that's more or less making the most, out of the situation, and taking if I got a 5th or 7th place car, figuring out how to get to the end and running 3rd or 4th with it, but knowing that it may not be your day to go win. So, still not going to be satisfied until I do win, but right now we got to get back on our feet and give ourselves some solid finishes, and hopefully we can kick that campaign off this weekend in Atlanta.
Speaking of Atlanta, let's talk about the racing there. Abrasive surface, and I think you're among the drivers who would be sad once that place has to finally be repaved, and it'll come sooner or later. But in the meantime, describe for fans why you guys love those abrasive tracks so much.
It just feels like when you go to a place like Atlanta, kind of like what we also see at Fontana, but definitely Atlanta to a different extent. The way it puts, chasing a certain balance in practice and knowing what you got to have in the race to be good, and the options it gives you if you can find that balance, that puts a lot back in the driver's hands. And, you can sacrifice some speed looking for that feel, and then if you achieve that feel, then, it will pay off for you. So, the results don't show it, but we've ran really well there in the past, and just had some crazy things happen that have taken the finishes down the leaderboard. But I think there is a certain feel that I do really look for there, and most drivers will. And when you go to a place like that where you can grab a hold of that bottom, grab a hold of that apron, the Harvick line as everybody calls it. But we also saw in the Xfinity Series race, and as well in the Cup race, that it's nothing to go and get up top if you need to. So you have options, and that's another thing this lends to great racing. And I think Goodyear's brought a little softer tire over the last couple of weeks here to start the season, and that's lending itself to even better racing. So, man, I'm so pumped to get to Atlanta, one of the best racetracks we go to. And you're right, Do not repay the place. I'm on that train.
And it's inevitable. Sooner or later, it's just the win that's the question, right?
That's exactly right. But until then, we're going to enjoy it while we got it.
Let's talk a little bit about strategy in these races. You're running, I think, 21 of the 33 races this year, so it's not a situation where you're thinking like the guys who are running all the races. Does that change your strategy in terms of normally you might be going for this stage win and giving up that stage, and now you're just thinking wins? How does that adjust? How does that change your strategy?
It will more so at some of the other racetracks we go to. Places where you're more fuel limited than you are, tire grip limited. That'll open our options up. Maybe places like, Pocono. I'm not running Indy like, I guess now it's a road course, so it don't matter. But those style of racetracks where you're fuel limited, that's where the strategy could get mixed up for us, where we could really do something different. But when you go to a place that like Atlanta, you want to have 4 tires anytime you can. So whatever you got to do to position yourself, which typically the field does the same thing. But that's not always the case. But I've also, knowing I only got 21 races, that's a lot of opportunity. But on the flip side of it, that the 8 car is running for the Owners Championship between myself and Jeb Burton, and obviously Dale Jr. getting back in next week at Homestead. So we got to keep that somewhat in the back of our mind. And that's my crew chief Taylor Moyer's job to kind of keep all of us focused around that. We've been telling each other all the way through these first couple of rough weeks that, we've put ourselves in a bit of a hole here to try to get to the Owners Championship side of things, but only taking one race to rebound. So that's our goal, and hopefully we can kick that off this weekend.
How different is it racing for a guy like a Dale Jr. who has been through some of these same things you're going through now as a guy to kind of lean on?
Yeah, it's very interesting because, I think back to my second year of the Truck Series running for Keselowski, and he had been through a lot of the same things and just hardships of what we all find at some form coming up through the ranks, and Dale's no different, right? I mean, I feel like I'm not going to say I'm crazy close with him yet, but the little bit of interaction we've had, he is just encouraging, and there's kind of a driver code, right? Like, we all know, we've all been there, so you don't talk about it a whole lot, but it's the little things like, you're fine, man, pick your head up, you'll bounce back. Those little things that he's made comments to me about, that I know where he's coming from, and we've all been there. So, yeah, just having that support system between himself. Let me tell you what, if I was Dale or Kelly or LW, I'd probably have me strung up by my toes already, but they've been patient, haven't really gone to me too bad yet. So I know what I got to correct, I know what I got to fix, and they got trusting me to do just that without having a whole lot of talking to. So just my job to go do it.
Yeah, they've been through the ups and downs for sure, and this won't be the first or the last time for them. I wanted to go back to something last year. I went to an event where you and your wife, Kenzie, set up a scholarship fund at Rowan Cabarrus Community College, and I was kind of taken by what you said at that announcement. Why was that so important to you? And tell folks how they can get involved to participate in the scholarship if they'd like.
Yeah, that's I'm glad you brought that up, which is a very exciting time, for us last year was setting up our first first thing to really, really help the community out that we've been able to do since reaching the top 3 series. And, my wife Kenzie and I started it's called the Daniel Hemric Be the Change, endowment scholarship there at RCC. And, really just give an opportunity to anyone that's, has hardship financially, and then they need help, and they want to be able to, change their lives and put themselves in a better situation. And, having an opportunity to go to RCC and make sure that, they got to obviously meet the criteria to give them that opportunity as far as the schooling. But, it don't matter how old or how young you are, if you still got a dream and you're driven to put the work in, then our scholarship is something that you can apply for there with Rowan Cabarrus Community College. So, it's just really cool to be able to give back, and really unbelievable. I was really overwhelmed, and myself and my wife with emotion going through that day of knowing that we were on the verge of changing someone's lives. And as we talk about it right now, our first recipients about to come up here in the next 2 to 3 weeks. We're going to be announcing the first recipient of the scholarship. So that's a very, very cool time for us right now.
Really a cool deal. And you mentioned at the time that you wish there had been something like that when you were of the age to be going through school at Rowan Cabarrus Community College. I know it's going to be beneficial to several people over the years. I saw some social media this week about your car getting wrapped with the on-deck Capitol colors. They're going to be with you this weekend, and I think at Chicago as well. It takes seconds, of course, in a social media post with the video speeded up. How long does that process take real time? And have you been there for the whole thing before to see how that goes? Because it's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, it is unbelievably fascinating, man. Those guys do such a great job. And, yeah, over the time, of my time here in the sport, I've seen that process go from about a, 3 to 4 hour job where they can knock it out in about an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours now. So it's incredible just how far everything's come. But it was really, really neat to see how well, the on-deck Camaro turned out. It's their first outing with our sport. I mean, a brand new company to our sport. They're the largest U.S. online lender for small businesses. And, we talked about my endowment scholarship that we started. It's no different than what On Deck Capital is doing, right? For all these startups that need some help and they need some cash flow quick, On Deck is the place to visit. And I think it speaks a lot of the direction our sport's going and the direction and faith that they have in our sport to trust to grow their company in our sport. So it's pretty special to bring a new company into the sport like this. And, I'm looking forward to hopefully showcasing a good weekend for them and moving their needles in the right direction to hopefully, begin a long partnership that should be very fruitful for both of us.
One last thing I wanted to end with, Daniel, and something we've been asking all the Xfinity and truck drivers. I know drivers are pretty much in the right now almost all the time because you have to be. That's your job. But looking ahead a little bit, I don't know how many of the races, the standalones you're going to do where the pit stop strategy or the pit stop rules are changing, but how do you think that might play out and impact things at first glance?
What do you call it? Throw stuff to the wall and see what sticks. It's definitely going to mix it up, man. I'm actually excited to see like all the different things our sport's doing to try to enhance the excitement for these fans. I know for me growing up as a kid, it was tough for me to sit down and have the attention span to watch races through and through. That was before all the stuff we have now to do on the side. So yeah, you take something like what we're going to experience with the standalone events from the Xfinity Series and the pit stops, and when you get your tires and when you don't and where you line up, it's going to throw a huge curveball into the mix. So, I'll be actually in the majority of those races. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out. But I got my fingers and toes crossed that the boys at JR Motorsports are on it, and they're planning ahead so I can go do my job.
It'll be fun to watch for sure. Check out Daniel this weekend at Atlanta in the number 8 on-deck Capital Chevrolet Camaro for JR Motorsports and in 21 of the 33 races this season. Daniel, thanks for your time and good luck in Atlanta. We'll see you there.
Absolutely, my man. Thanks. Good talking to you.
There you go. That's Daniel Hemric. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, Todd Gordon will join us.
Did you know that banks collected over $15 billion in unnecessary bank fees last year? Come on, enough is enough. It's time we took back control of our finances. That's why MoneyLion is proud to bring you the Financial Crew Chief and to be a NASCAR sponsor. Look, no one knows more about hard work and pursuing their dreams than NASCAR fans, drivers, and teams. So we want to bring you the kind of banking that the big banks would never build, with features like zero-fee checking and zero-fee investment accounts. And because life is also meant for a join, with MoneyLion, NASCAR fans get even more. We're giving away 1,500 NASCAR tickets to our members this year. Plus, you can get 5% cash back on NASCAR tickets, at-track purchases, and all purchases at NASCAR.com. Learn more at MoneyLion.com or download our app. This is America's most powerful financial membership. MoneyLion. Here we roar.
Welcome back to MRN Out Loud. Time now for our Financial Crew Chief segment where we hear from a NASCAR crew chief about the upcoming race headed to Atlanta. This week it's Todd Gordon from Team Penske, and our special correspondent Dylan Welch chatted with him.
Here with Todd Gordon, the crew chief for Ryan Blaney, the Menards Ford. And first of all, it's been a good year for you guys. I mean, don't have the win that you probably deserve, but how have you, or how would you evaluate the season you guys have had so far?
I think it's progressed decently. To your point, we haven't had the finishes we wanted out of it. Probably gave one away at Vegas with pitting, but we've had speed, and I think when you look at it, that's the one piece that's elusive. if you've got speed and you need to work on execution, we can all work on that.
Right. And
that'll come. We've been in contention for the first 3 races. I think he's done a great job. And the best part is, I think when we both sit down and talk about it, is there's more things that we can do better. So there's more potential left, and I think this team's gonna rise to the occasion as the summer goes on.
Looking ahead to Atlanta, what are the challenges as a crew chief for you setting up a car there?
Yeah, another one of those wore-out racetracks that it's just how you manage the tires and the fall off in the car. I look at California and the run we had there, and managing the tires becomes a beast. At the end there, we put them in a bad position where you had to kind of drive pretty hard and got ourselves used some stuff up. But great wore-out racetrack. So tire management and how your car handles plays pretty big there. It's a place I really look forward to, and one that Ryan's had great speed at. We've had really good speed at, and in the past, this whole team that below me, not one there. I'd love to.
We talk about tracks like that are wore out, that force the driver to kind of get up on the wheel and slide around. But we have this high downforce package at some of these tracks where I think maybe the impression is that we've got all this downforce, the car should be stuck to the racetrack, but that's not the case, is
No,
it?
it's not. You've got more downforce than we had in the past, but everybody's got it, and you're still at the limit of the tires. We're lifting going through the corners at these places, and you get to a Michigan or California even, we were lifting. You'd run wide open for a couple laps. I think that's where the 88 was strong out there, is that they could run wide open longer than most people could. But even at that, once you got 10 laps in, you were lifting through both ends. So we do have a lot of downforce, and we've got a little less power than we used to have, but we're still tire limited. And when you get to wore-out racetracks where there just isn't any grip left in the asphalt, and I'm not complaining.
Sure.
Let me make sure that's clear. The old asphalt puts on better racing, I think. But when we get to places that the asphalt just doesn't have any grip left in it, the Atlantas, the Homesteads, the Californias, the Darlingtons, just how you continue to manage your tires and try to keep the good in the tire as long as possible, brings comers and goers and makes for racetracks where you'll have somebody who takes off in the first 5 laps, but he's going to come backwards in the last 15. So really exciting racing.
For you, as the direct line of communication to the driver at tracks like that, what's the most important thing you have to stress to them just to continue to save?
I think, what do you stress to them? We talk during the week about what we need to be focused on. And Ryan's done a great job with that so far this year, and we'll continue to work on those things. But, it's just patience, not letting your emotions get you, because usually when you get emotional, you get more aggressive, and then you end up, beating up tires more. So just staying focused on the big picture and where the long run speed potential will come back to you with some discipline up front.
All right. Thanks, Todd.
Yep.
Todd Gordon, our financial crew chief segment. It's presented by Money Lion, the world's most powerful financial membership. Money Lion, here we roar. Another time out. When we come back, Austin Hill will join us, talk some truck racing at Atlanta.
Next time those engines roar, don't just get pumped up. Get 5% cash back with Money Lion. Our members get 5% cash back on up to $2,000 in annual purchases of tickets to a NASCAR race from authorized ticket sellers. You'll also get 5% off any at-track purchases and all purchases on NASCAR.com. Just use your MoneyLion debit card, and it couldn't be easier. Join the world's most powerful financial membership, MoneyLion. Here we roar.
Citywide to countryside. Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires has the value, selection, and industry-leading warranty to get you there, no matter where the road takes you. Go to HerculesTire.com. There you can find the nearest authorized Hercules retail location to you. Plus, you can use the Tire Tracker to find out which Hercules tire fits your vehicle the best. That's HerculesTire.com. Hercules Tires. Ride on our strength.
Back on MRN Out Loud, talking some Gander RV and Outdoors Truck Series racing this weekend at Atlanta Motor Speedway, and who better to talk about that than the points leader, Austin Hill for Hattori Racing Enterprises joins us. Austin, congratulations on a strong start to the season, but now it's been a couple of weeks off. Are you chomping at the bit to get back at it?
Hey, Woody. Thanks for having me on. But Oh yeah, I'm definitely ready to get going. I know all the guys in the shop are chomping at the bit. They've been really putting in a lot of effort, and we built some new trucks in the off season that we felt like would help our program, and we're just it was good to have that few weeks off just so they can kind of tidy up some things and really just look over some things and make sure everything's ready to go. So when we do have this stretch of 3 races back to back, we're all ready to go. So, but man, it sounds good hearing you say that I'm the points leader, and hopefully we can keep it.
You guys won 4 times a year ago. You finished 5th in the final standings. Solid team. You put up a solid performance. What more do you want to accomplish? Obviously, the championship is in your sights, but specific things that you'd like to see the team or you improve on here going forward.
Yeah, so looking back at last season, one thing that we really felt like we didn't do a good job at was stage points. We definitely feel like we need to get a lot more stage wins. I didn't get any stage wins last year except for at Homestead for the stage 1 and 2 points during that race. So I feel like stage points were really crucial and kind of the deciding factor on us making it into the Final Four or not. We had a bad race at Martinsville, gotten in a wreck, and then Phoenix we were just a little off, and we didn't have really any points to fall back on. So I felt like ultimately that was kind of the deciding factor. Us getting in the wreck obviously didn't help us at Martinsville, and then us being a little bit off at Phoenix didn't help either. But I felt like Brett didn't have that great of a performance in the round of 6, and I felt like he had some points to fall back on that he accumulated throughout the season. So I felt like that's kind of something that he was able to do, was fall back on points, and we didn't have that luxury. So that's something that we definitely want to look at this year. That's kind of our number one goal, is to get as many stage wins and as much stage points as we can each and every race.
Let's talk a little bit about this weekend at Atlanta. Everybody loves that track, the rough, abrasive surface, but all the buzz seems to be about this Kyle Busch bounty thing. Are you regulars feeling kind of left out here or what?
I mean, yeah, we're obviously left out a little bit, and I think what it does is for me and my race team, it kind of lights a fire under everybody at Hattori Racing, because now we're kind of getting overlooked, and the big talk is about Kyle Busch and Chase Elliott this coming up weekend, and we want to be that guy that kind of spoils the show, and us leading the race and maybe them be running second and third to us. We're not going to go quietly, that's for sure. We're gonna do all we can to outrun those boys. I love having the Cup drivers come down and run with us, because if you want to be in the Cup Series one day, those are the guys you're going to be running against. So I love racing against those guys. But them throwing up a bounty and all that, it's cool, and it's cool for the fans and all, but it kind of lights the fire up under us, because it kind of makes us seem like we can't get the job done and we can't outrun these Cup guys. And I feel like everyone at HRE and I feel like myself, we can go do it if we put our heads together and we bring a really good truck to the racetrack and we do everything right, and we make minimize all the mistakes throughout the race, and you just got to perform to be able to outrun those guys.
It's interesting that you say that. In all the years we've done this show, and we've asked a lot of Xfinity guys and truck guys, do you want to race the Cup guys or no? Every single one has said, yeah, bring them on. But you look at social media and fans are like, oh, no, get them out of the series. They're stealing the thunder and all that. But all you racers say, yeah, bring them on. We want to run against them.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if you're going to run in the Cup Series one day, and that obviously probably the majority of everybody in the Truck Series and Xfinity Series, they want to move up the rankings. And, it just makes it fun when they come down, because you get to see where you're maybe missing it a little bit, where they might be just having that little bit of an advantage on you. And something that Kyle Busch is really good at doing is diagnosing his truck. He knows exactly what he wants. He's been at all of these racetracks numerous of times. He has, thousands and thousands of laps around a lot of these racetracks. So, he already has a little bit of an advantage on you going into the weekend, because he has so many laps around that place. He knows what it does during practice if you're practicing in 60-degree weather, and then you maybe race at nighttime and at 40 degrees. So he knows kind of what the track's characteristics are. He already kind of knows what he's looking at in his truck. And I kind of think that's why you see him so successful and he's always up front in these truck races, is he just knows exactly how to diagnose these trucks. And somebody like myself or anybody that's a rookie or, maybe they've only been in the truck series for 1 or 2 years, they're still learning all of these tracks. You go to a lot of these tracks only one time a year. So, each year that you go to it only one time, then that next year later, you're kind of looking back at notes and trying to figure out, what you did last year to be good at that track. And I think that's kind of where these Cup guys have a little bit of a leg up on you.
Yeah, I think absolutely you're right. Let's wrap up with this, Austin. I think a lot of folks are familiar with at least the name of your team owner because it's so fun to say, Shiggy Hattori, but he's kind of in the background type of guy. He's not a real forward type of guy when you see him at the track. What's he like in person?
Man, he is such an awesome owner to work for. He is so laid back. He doesn't really he never gets into what we're doing. He doesn't ever question it. If there's anything we need at the shop, and he knows that it's going to be a performance enhancer, we do all we can to get it if we can get it. And he just sits back and he just lets us do our thing. And he works so hard each and every day. I mean, there's times that I come into the shop and I'll walk into his office to say hey to him, and he's sitting up in his chair sleeping, just sitting straight up, because he's just worn out because he does so much traveling. He goes to Japan a lot, and he's traveling back and forth, and his time change kind of gets thrown off all the time. So you'll peek in to say hey to him, and he's just sitting there, taking a little nap. So he works tirelessly. I mean, that guy, he does so much for this race team, and he's constantly looking for sponsorship. And he does a lot. He does a lot that a lot of people don't realize. And I'm very, very happy to have the chance and the opportunity to know him and to race for him.
Well, everybody in this business travels a lot, but he goes above and beyond. I lied on the last thing. You mentioned sponsorship. Who's on the truck this weekend, quickly?
So this weekend we got United Rentals on the truck. They're going to be on the truck, I think about 7 or 8 more races this year for the truck. So it's been really good having them on board, and hopefully we can get them in victory lane soon.
Cool deal. Austin Hill, the point leader in the Gander RV and Outdoors Truck Series. Congratulations on a strong start. Good luck in Atlanta. We'll see you there.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Here you go. That's Austin Hill. We'll take a quick time out. When we come back, Steve Post will join us.
Sir, are you aware you were going 40 miles an hour? This is a residential area.
Sure, but I'm on my lawnmower? Wait, am I getting a ticket?
No, I've just never seen anyone top 9 miles an hour on one of those bad boys. And mow their entire lawn in 30 seconds? What got into you?
Well, it did fuel up at Sunoco this morning.
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. We've been doing it for American racing for over 50 years. Fuel your best.
Citywide to countryside. Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires has the value, selection, and industry-leading warranty to get you there, no matter where the road takes you. Go to HerculesTire.com. There you can find the nearest authorized Hercules retail location to you. Plus, you can use the tire tracker to find out which Hercules tire fits your vehicle the best. That's HerculesTire.com. Hercules Tires. Ride on our strength.
Welcome back to MRN Out Loud. Joined now by my good friend Steve Post, pit reporter extraordinaire and dirt track racing expert as well.
Wow.
From the Wing Nation side. And you've got a busy schedule. You even got some action this weekend, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I am so fortunate, Woody, that I get to do what I love to do. I love the NASCAR stuff. I love being on pit road with MRN. It's like
you just like being busy.
Yeah, I like being busy, that's for sure. So that was my dream gig as a kid, to be on the road and to do NASCAR radio with MRN. And so, but I do a lot of short track stuff. Mm-hmm. And so this weekend, I'm actually going to Syracuse, New York, indoor auto racing, TQ midget cars, 3/4 midget cars on a concrete track, basically inside of a hockey rink.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, yeah, it's full contact, full action, and I'm kind of...
So they got like the James Bond stuff where you can put out oil slicks and things like that for the guys?
We don't. We actually have, though, we have a penalty box.
Uh-oh.
We have a penalty box, so if someone gets astray, the JR Motorsports cool-down zone.
Just like hockey.
Yeah, just like hockey. You go to the cool-down zone, and I come over and point my finger at you and do it. And I love the gig. I'm kind of ringmaster. I'm down on the ground, so like
you wear a top hat?
Yeah, I should. If there's a fight in turn number 2, I run over to turn number 2 and do play-by-play.
And call it, yeah.
If there's an interview over here, I need it, and it's just so much fun. It ties in so well. I mean, I love being on pit road with MRN, and we're coming off our West Coast swing, and how great that was. So I'm very fortunate. But then this week at Syracuse, and then back to Homestead next week. So I love the variety. I think you're right. I think I love being busy.
Yeah, busy pays better than bored.
Busy does, and I'm a guy that likes to travel too. People have said, how long have you been doing this? How long do you want to do this? We get to that stage, and I think when you get to the stage where travel starts to become not enjoyable, I think there's where you're like, okay, maybe we need to rethink this whole thing. But right now, I'm all jacked up because I'm going to Syracuse, New York. I'm going to hit Dinosaur Barbecue. I'm going to hit Southern Tier Brewing. I'm going to get some indoor auto racing. I actually have a 5K up there I'm going to do, and I'm going to have some Hoffman hot dogs. So I love travel, obviously.
And with 2 daughters growing up now and getting out of the nest, you're a little more freed up, right?
Yeah,
but not that that's a bad thing.
No. I've lived Woody, and and I'll share this. Woody, okay, this is how close Woody and I are. And I'm not scared to share this with you. When my wife and I first had the big blow up, I lived with Woody. Okay, so Woody and I.
There's an odd couple for you.
There is, and his wife Sandy. Thank God to this.
She kept us straight.
So Woody and I go back, and so it's a deep, deep friendship. And Woody knows my story. And I've spent the last 14 years. As a single dad, joint custody, but I have a lot of impact in my daughter's life, and they're with me more than probably anywhere else, and so it's been great. But now, they're 18 and 21, and all of a sudden it's like
they're wanting to do their own thing. Yeah,
it's dad time. All right, all those things that I wanted to do. Well, it started weird, okay, and I know we're way off the racing reservation, but it's kind of a life thing. It started weird. It was like as they got older. I would do everything with my girls. Okay, my life was my girls and MRN. Okay, and I unapologetically proud of that. Really proud of that. You should be really proud of that. But then, like, they start to get older and they start to have plans on a Saturday night, and it's like, oh no, what am I going to do? Okay, the first time this struck me, okay, it was December during the off season. Okay, and it was like they're gonna both of them. I had a Saturday night with nothing to do. Well, it was the weekend in early December that the college football playoff games are, the ACC championship, the SEC championship, and everything else. I said, man, this is great. I'm going to get a steak. I'm going to get a bottle of wine and a baked potato, and I'm going to grill the steak. And I got a great night alone, and I did. I had a wonderful night. Well, tragedy or all of a sudden reality hit. The next week they were both gone on Saturday night. I'm like, well, I don't want to do the same thing now. What am I going to do?
Yeah,
now what?
Yeah.
It's great. But yeah, as the girls get older, I get a chance to do a little bit more traveling and I've always had fun, but it's really neat. I'm like a guy on the personal front and on the business professional front. I've lived a dream life, that's for sure.
And how many people get to actually say that?
I'm so fortunate. I love being dad, and I love being MRN reporter and announcer for all the racing events, for sure.
Let's shift back to that racing side for a second, because one of the things that's most interesting, we talked about Wing Nation and your dirt track experience. What are some of the things that you have seen on the dirt side that they do well that might be workable or adoptable on the NASCAR side? Are there some things?
Yes, there are. I think the biggest thing to me, and it's a challenge, and I don't envy the spot that NASCAR is in on this particular one. I think people's attention spans have shrunk down.
It's a right now society.
It is a right now society. We stand at the microwave and tap our foot because it's not going fast enough.
Yep.
Okay. So to me, the Wing, like a World of Outlaw sprint car show, is perfect. 2.5 hours, hot laps, boom, a lot of noise, downtime. Qualifying, a lot of noise, downtime. Heat races, in between them, there's downtime. Chance to hang out with your buddies, chance to talk. There's the dash, there's the B main. But it's short in total length, 2.5 hours, okay? And you have time to socialize in the middle of it, Okay, so I think that is really, really neat. And I think that's a challenge we have in NASCAR, and I don't envy him because the minute you say, well, maybe your 500-mile race needs to be a 400-mile race, or oh my gosh, they're robbing us of our mileage. And
most people don't like
most
change.
people don't like change, and sometimes less is better. Not, sometimes less is better.
First rule of show business: leave them wanting more.
Leave them wanting more. I think. We ran into this a couple years ago. Remember when Pocono went from 500 to 400?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, wringing their hands. I want my money back for my 100 miles.
It's been great.
Come to find out, a 400-mile race at Pocono is better than a 500-mile race, and we're going to find out what a 350-mile race at Pocono is like this year.
Two of them,
exactly. So to me, I think that's one thing that the short track world has done so well is that attention span thing. And
I think
again,
that downtime thing is big.
That downtime thing is the thing. You go to a sporting events with your buddies or your family or your wife or your spouse, your significant other, and in NASCAR sometimes the volume of
even
these
under
places,
caution, there's
even under
competition.
caution, yeah, exactly. But it's not a social event. It's an event where maybe you're isolated a little bit. And we live in a society where we want to be connected. I love what NASCAR's doing with the connectivity at the track.
Yes.
Our phones are going to work, and that's great. We are in a society now that loves to be connected and loves to chat with each other. Racing Electronics has the good two-way radio systems that you can talk to your buddies with during it, but it's still structurally, I think it's still a challenge. We've talked about downsizing the season from February into October or wherever we end up there, but I still think those events, and I don't know the answer, and I don't envy NASCAR on it because the minute you talk about
tough decisions,
it's tough decisions. I think the right people are in place to make the right decisions to get this thing. But that's one thing from the short track world. To your original question, I love about it. It's a social event. It's an event where you're done. You go into the pits after the race. You have a beer with your favorite driver, and you still aren't up all night long doing it. So I think it's a shorter event, and that socializing time period in the middle of it is really pretty cool.
Let's talk a little bit about Atlanta coming up this weekend. MRN will be there for the truck race on Saturday afternoon at 1 o'clock. The Georgia 200 will start off on Friday with practice at 1:30 for the Gander RV and Outdoors Truck Series. But I really think that is a cool experiment that Atlanta started a few years ago. And I think it's been really cool to have the truck race and the Xfinity race on the same day, the same Saturday.
If you are not a cup snob, and I'm not saying cup snob in a negative way, okay? If you savor and enjoy every NASCAR race, Xfinity or truck race, if you love it all, that's the best day of the year.
That's a great value.
I love that day, okay? And the Xfinity Series racing has been so good this year. Atlanta's such a good racetrack. Truck Series racing is good. We actually have that bounty thing going on with the Truck Series. I mean, there's so much good. That day to me is if you set aside the Cup world, that's the best day of NASCAR for me because you get both the Xfinity and the Truck Series all in one day, one doubleheader, little downtime, going back to my other theme, chance to run out onto the concourse, grab a sandwich, grab a beer, grab a soda, grab a water, chance to hang and say, hey, what'd you think of that? What'd you think of that? Oh, come on, we got to go back in. The next race is coming up. I absolutely love that day at Atlanta. I loved when they did it a few years ago, and I love that they still do it now because that's one of the best days in NASCAR every year. As
we run through the schedule here, we mentioned we'll start it off on Friday afternoon, 1:30 Eastern Time, Truck Series practice, followed by the race on Saturday. When we get to this race, the buzz is all about this bounty on Kyle Busch. What do you think about that?
I like the buzz. I'm still struggling with the hand-wringing about we've got to get the Cup guys out of the Truck Series, and we have a bounty that encourages Cup guys to come into the Truck Series. My mind still hasn't figured that out.
My perception of it is most people get upset when it's one particular Cup guy.
Precisely.
The other Cup guys, they seem to like.
Well, you're bringing the truth into this.
Yeah, well,
this is not a Cup Series issue. This is a Kyle Busch issue. Okay, this is a Kyle Busch issue that everyone mad says a Cup Series issue, but it's a Kyle Busch issue. So I take their we can't stand Cup Series guys in there. I take that we can't stand Cup Series guys, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, we're encouraging more. But those guys are there to beat Kyle Busch, so that's why this is a good thing. No, I think it's great. I think I would have, and Kevin Harvick, I'll say this about Kevin Harvick, and I respect Kevin in so many areas, and Kevin Harvick's motive for this is 100% pro Truck Series. As a former team owner in this series, that's where he came from.
Yeah, he gets
that put Kevin Harvick on the map. And so Kevin Harvick's motive in this is 100% pure gold, right on point.
And then Marcus Lemonis jumped on
in,
board
exactly.
with
Marcus
Gander
the same way.
RV Outdoors.
Absolutely. If I had to tweak it a little bit, I'd say the bonus to anybody that can beat Kyle Busch. But I'm fine with it. I think it's great. I think it's exciting. This week it's Chase Elliott and Eric Jones
and Brennan Poole. No, Eric Jones is not this week, but Brennan Poole and John Hunter Nemechek.
Yeah. Okay. And then the one that Kyle is worried about is Homestead next week. Kyle Larson at Homestead,
who kind of started this whole thing by tweeting cherries at Kyle Busch when he wins at Vegas. Yeah.
So kind of neat, kind of fun stuff. I like it. What I want to see though, I want to see the Bounty go unclaimed and a Truck Series regular standing in victory lane.
That'd be nice.
That would be nice. So, but yeah, I think it's certainly, we have spent the last 2 weeks in media availabilities and in this sport and on talk radio in this sport talking about the Truck Series, and we rarely get a chance to do that. And those Truck Series races are so good. So if it focuses extra guys, maybe a Grant Enfinger is going to gain a few fans along the way, and guys like that
or
in
whoever.
the Truck Series, or whoever, Johnny Sauter or Matt Crafton or whoever's in the series, or Ben Rhodes or a guy like that, because there's such good racers in that series, and so this is even more eyes on them to showcase their abilities.
Then we follow up on that doubleheader on Saturday, Georgia 200, 1 o'clock Eastern Time on the Motor Racing Network. Our friends from the Performance Racing Network take over. After that, the Atlanta 250 Xfinity races at 3:30. What are you seeing in the Xfinity Series early on here?
Boy, I'll tell you, the Xfinity Series with the big three gone, it's kind of opened up the doors.
We have a new big three.
Well, yeah, I know. Isn't that exciting that it's I'll tell you, I was so excited there at Phoenix that an Xfinity Series regular won. I think that
with two Cup guys in the field.
Yeah. A couple years ago, and I don't own a TV, so I don't. Maybe it's still there, but names made here. Names made here. We are making names. The big three's names were made in the Xfinity Series, and we're seeing new names being made this year. Noah Gragson, man,
already a victory.
Already a victory. Chase Briscoe. I think Chase Briscoe is one of the best talents we've seen in the sport.
Harrison Burton, my goodness.
Harrison Burton picking up the win. I mean, it's just to me, and there's still another long list of drivers that can add their name to that list. So I love what's going on in the Xfinity Series. I think Xfinity Series racing the last couple of years has been so good. Throw in a track, it's all worn out like Atlanta, and we're in for a treat on Saturday afternoon.
Sunday, the main event, 1 o'clock Eastern Time, the Folds of Honor QT 500. Our friends at the Performance Racing Network have that. Early in the season, you got to look at that crew chief swap at Team Penske. Seems to be working out for Joey Logano. 2 victories.
Boy, isn't that the case? And I was fortunate enough with MRN. I had Victory Lane and asked him about the swap, the change that we had. And
he's got Paul Wolf
he's
now,
got
who
Paul
was
Wolf
with
as
Brad
his crew
Keselowski.
chief. Yeah, but I think overall, up until their problem, their little dust up, Ryan Blaney was leading the points with Todd Gordon. Okay, so I think that team, I think Ryan Blaney is in for a better year. So check that box off.
Right.
The one I was wondering about is Brad Keselowski and Jeremy Bullins. I don't wonder anymore after Phoenix. They had the best car in the long run, and they did everything in their power to destroy that car and still were in the hunt at the end, okay? So I like the Brad Keselowski and Jeremy Bullins combination. That's a combination that had a lot of success in the Xfinity Series a few years ago, and obviously Joey and Paul Wolf have been spectacular, winning 50% of the race, 2 out of 4. So I think you could sit there, and we're starting to look at this Penske change and say, one team is better, 2 teams are better, 3 teams are better.
The captain might know what he's doing.
Well, Roger Penske has a little bit of an idea what's going on, so really, really neat. So, yeah, I think watching the Penske team going into Atlanta is going to be one of the big stories rolling into this weekend.
Should be fun. Steve, thanks for coming by. We're running way long. Got to wrap it up on this week's edition of MRN Out Loud. Make sure you're with us, the Motor Racing Network, this weekend at Atlanta. Check out all our scheduled information at mrn.com.